And welcome to John Park's Workshop. Look, it's me, John Park, and here we are, ready to build some stuff. Are you ready to build some stuff? I'm looking forward to building things today. I want to thank everyone for coming out to the AdaBox unboxing last night. That was a lot of fun, and I'm excited that people have their AdaBoxes, or should be getting them soon. Those are all out and shipping all corners of the world. So let's see, what else have we got? Before we get started here, if you're joining us via Facebook or Periscope or Twitch, and you're wondering, hey, where's all the chat going on? Most of that is over in Discord. So there's a Adafruit Discord at adafru.it/Discord. You can get an invite immediately just by going to that link and join in on the conversation. We tend to have conversation for the shows in the live broadcast channel. And then there are lots of other channels depending on what types of things you want to discuss. If you're looking for help, if you're doing some show and tell, we have a whole bunch of different channels to cater to different needs. So come on by. I'm also trying to keep an eye over on the YouTube. So we usually have some chat over in YouTube as well. So head on over to one of those places for chatting, or just watch. You can just watch right here. Let's see. I do want to mention our jobs board. We have a jobs board. It is right here at jobs.adafruit.com. It's free to post a position if you're looking to hire someone. It's free to post your info if you're looking to pick up work. One of the newer ones on here is a Hackaday U instructor. So Hackaday is doing courses, online courses. And if you want to go and register to perhaps teach a course, this is a place to find out lots of info about it at the jobs.adafruit.com in the Hackaday U instructor post. So go check that out. Let's see. Also, what can I mention? Oh, yeah, so I mentioned the AdaBox. And just in case you didn't know, we will have some AdaBoxes in the store at some point. Those are a subscription service. We send out about 4,000 of them, something like that. I think there may be 4,000, 4,500 of those boxes made. So if you want to get the AdaBox 15, keep your eyes peeled for the store and our blog and social media. We'll post about that. I'll mention it here on the show when it's in stock. Very cool Adafruit Clue-based AdaBox. And then if you're interested in the future, and who isn't, then go check out the subscriptions for the next one, for AdaBox 16. We're aiming for some time in the fall, October-ish timeframe, I believe. And we're already working on that one. So go to AdaBox. I think you go to adabox.com or adafruit.com/AdaBox. So just type in AdaBox into any search engine. You'll probably land in the right place, and you can go and subscribe. Let's see, what's next? I have a product of the week pick. I like to do these to give you an idea of something that I think is fun and interesting and exciting in the store. And it is this. It's the Serpente Revision 2 plug model. There it is right there. That's the Serpente. What is it? Let me go to the page here and show you Serpente. It's a Circuit Python prototyping board. This version has a USB-C plug in it, so you can plug it right into a machine and use it for coding it, as well as if you want to do like USB HID projects, keyloggers or pranks, those kinds of things. If you want it to do receive like button presses from switches and send info, this is a really cool one because no cable required. It plugs right in. I just got this and I just was playing around with it yesterday. I think one way you could describe it is similar in a lot of ways to a Trinket M0, except it has a ton of flash. It has 4 megabytes of flash on it, and it breaks out a few more pins than the Trinket does. So it has some different capabilities. It's also got these castellated pads on it. Maybe you can see it down here. I'll point my camera down shooter at it. You can see it's got these little castellated pads, which means that you can solder it to a proto board, and if your proto board has some little pins poking up, you can just touch them like that and solder them right to it, or you can even, I think, just bridge that down into a hole. So it's an interesting one for adding another circuit, a little bit of circuit to. So I'm excited about it. Have you used this? I have not really touched it yet. Just yesterday I poked around with it a little bit and it looked really cool. So you can go to the circuitpython.org and download the necessary CircuitPython version for that, as well as libraries, and get started really quickly and easily. And there's some good examples over on the Serpente. Actually, let me go there. If you look at this page, there's a, let's see, this is Arturo182, who is the creator of this. It has a lot of similarities to the Digispark boards, if you remember those. Tiny little cool board that can plug right in. Let's see, documentation, here it is. So there's the sort of family of the Serpente boards. There's a socketed one, a plug one, and then there's also this really cool USB-A version that just plugs right in without a plug. It's just pads available. And there's an intro, guided tour, pinouts. It'll tell you all about the capabilities. I think this also has like 6 analog pins on it, which is pretty cool. So if you're doing a lot of stuff with, let's say, reading potentiometers or faders, this could be a really cool board. In fact, a fader board with this would be pretty neat, tiny. Let's say in the chat, our friend Todd says, I have a R1 Serpente with the USB-A plug, and it's great for quick CircuitPython Arduino boards to stuff in your computer bag for quick checks of code that has to run in either of those worlds. Ah, very good. Yeah, so you can code this in Arduino as well. I didn't know that, but of course, this is an Arduino and CircuitPython world. We can do both of those things. Very cool. So that's my pick of the week, Serpente. Go check it out. We have a couple versions of this. I think this one's in stock right now, and there's also the plug version, which takes a cable. I have one of those, but that one is not currently in stock. So that one, you need some sort of a USB-C cable or adapter to plug into that one. Even has a barcode on the back. So what happens if you take a picture of that? I'm guessing it goes to the documentation. All right, let's see. What else have we got? I think we should jump into the, excuse me, I should jump into some of this iced coffee. That's what I should do. Also, I'm very excited about my new shirt. My daughter got me this cool gradient type logo hummingbird shirt. I love hummingbirds. We have a lot of them at some times during the year, and she found this cool shirt for me. It was a Father's Day gift that took a little while to arrive. It just arrived yesterday, I think it was. All right, so yeah, let's jump into this here MakeCode Minute. You know what I'm going to try to do is turn off my air conditioner for a minute just to get that sound out of the air. It also makes me speak way too loud, I know. I'm sorry. All right, check it out. Okay, let's pop some things up here. Oh, let's use this one. That's the one we want. And yeah, the little tiny version of me there in the corner. That's a good one. Okay, let me bring this up. So here we have, for the MakeCode Minute today, I wanted to build a little password keeper that I could run on a piece of hardware like the Pi Badger or the Pi Gamer. And so, in fact, let's take a look at a little demo. I've got this battery powered, so I don't even need it plugged in. I'm going to go to this down shooter. All right, so here you can see I've got a little password keeper, and obviously this is not super secure. Anyone who finds this has your passwords, so be warned. But the way it works is we can scroll using little buttons here through a list of logins. And if I press the right key, I can see the login name. And if I press the right key a second time, I can see the password. So you might recognize this from War Games. I don't know why I threw the name Ferris in there, but that's the school password in War Games. And then if we scroll down, we can jump to other of these logins. And you'll also notice when we go up and down, it kind of clears the last one. Now, the other benefit of having this built onto a board like this is when I press the A button, it'll actually type that password over USB into whatever field you have set up. So let's take a look at how this is possible. First of all, I'm using the very cool status bars extension. So the status bars extension, I've shown this before, it's actually used for things like hit point counters over a character's head in an RPG game. But I found it's a really nice way to do these type of nice clear labels. Oh no, it's not wanting to run it right now. We'll see if I can restart it. I might need to be in beta. So the way that the status bars work, they can display a little bit of text as well as a small icon, or not, depending on the settings that you give them. So I used these as sort of a makeshift label. Oh yeah, it's breaking now. Okay, I can't show how that works. I've done it now. Let's see if we can back out of trouble. Let me see. We'll see if this loads. It's at least, yeah, okay. It doesn't want to load. You know what I'll do? Let me check, because I was just talking with one of the developers over on the arcade forum. So let's pop into forum.makecode.com, go to arcade. And I asked about the status bars, what's happening with them. Ooh, he says it might have fixed itself. All right, let's see. This is as real time and live as it gets with demos. Let's see. Here's this one that he had fixed, although it sounds like from that note it might have changed again. Okay, that isn't broken. That's good. Here, I'll demo it here. So up and down arrows go between the items in our list, and right will go through the login, the username, and the password. Oh yeah, that's another one from War Games. Joshua, that's Stephen Falcon's password for Whopper. And we'll see if it'll let us edit code. Crossing fingers. I'm actually okay if it doesn't. Oh yeah, this is working great. Okay, so let's look at the way we have this set up. First of all, I've got a series of definitions that include these arrays of number items on y-axis where we're going to position things. I have the usernames, the passwords, and another array like that for these login names. So if you look at those, the three of those together give us the first item being school login, username Ferris, and the password is pencil. And so this allows us to go through an index of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as we use the down arrow. We're going to jump between those indices, and then when we ask for it to actually print one of those items, it will go through and grab the value from those arrays. Now you can see here when the down arrow is pressed, we're clearing the column, which is which of those three items we're in, and then going down one item. And then we have an item pick value. I'm actually showing that in my console for testing purposes. And then we set the picker's position, which is that little triangle, to be the right spot in Y. When we press the A or B button, we get the USB keyboard printing an item from the user list, if it's the B button, and it gets the value from whichever item number we're on. So that's what types. We use B to type in the username, and then if we go look for the other button, that one is the one that will print from the password list. So we have multiple lists that are all aligned with each other, and then we can use two buttons to pick which of those to type into the keyboard. So again, I'll say this is not a super secure password. Anyone who finds this, they can look at your code, they can use the thing. So it's a little bit more of a demonstration and for fun. I wouldn't use it for anything that needs to be highly, highly secret. But I think it's a fun way to use the status bars as a sort of label mechanism. And so that is how you can build a little password keeper inside of MakeCode Arcade and then run it on a piece of hardware like the Pi Gamer or the Pi Badge. And that is your MakeCode Minute. Okay, sorry, I'm turning on that AC again. Boy, is it hot here today. I know our friend in the chat, C. Grover, said it was like 106 or 109 degrees where he is. I don't think we have it that bad here in Southern California, but not good. All right, let's see. What else have we got? By the way, I hope that you can see how helpful it is to use the forum.makecode.com. I was able to get an answer within minutes because I had built this project on Monday and then didn't test it again until earlier when I was setting up. And I went, oh no, something's broken here, or I've done something wrong. I'm abusing the extension. Joey from the MakeCode team was able to get it working quickly, and now we'll look into it a little deeper. So really great resources, forum.makecode.com. So go check it out if you ever have questions. Also, speaking of forum.makecode.com, that is where I have gone to find our MakeCode arcade game pick of the week. So let's bring this into focus here. And my MakeCode arcade game pick of the week is Mini Galaga. So this is by Daniel, and Daniel, this is the first time Daniel's posted to the forum, arcade forum. So thank you for posting this, and I am a huge Galaga fan, so I thought this was really, really cool. Great first game. You can see he's done a nice job of matching some graphics here. Now it's simple. We don't have the danger of the enemy bug crafts swarming and flying at us, but I don't care. I'm still having fun playing it, and I think it's a really good example of a way that you can get inspired to learn about building games inside of MakeCode Arcade and using inspiration from an existing game as a way to get started. It's also fun because if you've ever been frustrated by the inability to shoot lots and lots and lots and lots of bullets all at once in Galaga, this one allows you to fire off a lot of them, which is exciting. And I feel, oh gosh, this one's going to get harder. And I feel like we can take out our frustration against real Galaga in this MakeCode Galaga. Also, one of the exciting things is you can go in, hit Edit Code, see how it's built, take a look at some of these beautiful graphics. The pixel art's really nicely done. And of course, you can go in and do things like increase your number of lives and noodle around with things, increase the speed of the craft or the projectiles. But I encourage you to go and have a look at how this was built. And this is my MakeCode arcade game pick of the week. It is called Mini Galaga by Daniel. Thank you so much for submitting that. Very cool. All right. What else have we got? What else is going on here today? I think we'll jump into our build. So before I head over there, let me explain the idea behind this build. So if you are doing a lot of video conference calls, there's a good chance that you have either a laptop with a little camera built into the lid, or you're using something like this, one of these little webcams that sits on top of a monitor. And when you are in video calls these days, you're actually using a lot of different services to do this. So Zoom is really popular. Some people are using Google Meet or Blue Jeans or Whereby or StreamYard or on and on and on. And the situation can arise that you want to very quickly stop your video from streaming. Let's say your dog has suddenly decided to run into the room wearing a clown costume. Okay, maybe not your dog, maybe Lars, sure, fine. But if you want to suddenly, quickly hide the video from view, it can actually be a bit tricky under stress to go and click a button or remember a keyboard shortcut. And so what I wanted to do was build a physical button that would allow us to instantly hide our video. And there are, of course, a number of ways that you can go about this, and I've seen some recent projects posted online with some clever use of software that's running in the background that will wait for a button press and then do the right thing, kind of know which application is running and hide the video using a list of shortcuts. What I wanted to do is actually maybe approach that at some point as an add-on to this project, but as my primary thing, I actually wanted to just hide the camera lens, use a shutter of some kind to block that view, because that's sort of a foolproof method of hiding a video stream, is just put something, block the camera, a shutter of some kind. Most of these don't come with a shutter. Some of them do have a physical shutter that you can move. But again, that looks a little panicked if you see someone reach up suddenly and try to do something. So I want a button I can press sort of subtly over to the side maybe, that will then hide the view of the camera. So the idea here for this, actually I was talking with my friend Todd Kurt, our good friend Todd Bot. Let me switch cameras actually to, how about this bench cam and my main cam. And it was Todd's suggestion that maybe use a little servo to close a lid or add a shutter in front of your camera. And so the idea here is that we would have a servo motor with something attached to it. Right now I just have a little piece of gaffer's tape, a little black tape. And the idea is when, let me zoom in for you. When you hit the panic button, this will simply lower down into place and cover up the lens. Okay. So let's, now what we'll do is we'll also have the ability to send any number of key shortcuts to the computer, including all of them. So this could cause things to be chaotic, but if you're using mostly, let's say, Zoom and Whereby, that's two that I use, I can put their keyboard shortcuts. They actually don't conflict with each other, so I can just send them all, and it doesn't matter which one I'm using. I'll send those shortcuts that will both mute the audio, which is effectively muting the microphone, and will hide the shutter of the camera, and the shortcut will turn off the camera view, or toggle it. And that's actually one of the issues that I have with the USB shortcuts, is that they tend to be a toggle. If you hit, I think, V to turn off video, you also hit V to turn video back on. So it can be a little tricky to know for sure which you're hitting, the off V or the on V. They're the same. So the idea with this is that I don't have a button. I'm going to have a big button that will be used to throw the shutter down, but it doesn't also throw it back up. I don't want to accidentally hit it in a panic and have it go open and close. I want it to only close, and then I can have a smaller, different button or a switch to reverse that, or the way I'm doing it in my prototype is just using the reset button on my microcontroller. So these are the parts. I'm using a Trinket M0. No, I'm sorry, I'm using a Itsy Bitsy M0. Itsy Bitsy M0 microcontroller. And I've coded this in CircuitPython. We'll take a look at the code in a second. It's just some rough prototype code. This I have plugged into a little tiny breadboard for now, just to make it easy to test things. So I have a ground pin and a board digital read pin. I'm using pin A1 as a digital input that's checking the status of this button. And when that gets pressed, it's then going to send a signal to this servo motor. And so the servo is plugged into a PWM, or pulse width modulation pin. That's a pin that can send a value to what angle to send that servo, as well as power and ground. So those are my connections, and then I have USB plugged in to the computer to send those USB commands. So let's, I'll show you what this is doing kind of in prototype stage, and then we can maybe kind of fancy this up a little bit. So right now, we'll set our camera right here, and I'll set my servo right on top. And when I press the big giant arcade button I have here, you'll see, whoop, I'm holding it in a bad spot. You'll see it slid down into place, and I'll hit reset on the Trinket. And what I have is at the beginning of the code, that's when it sends that to like a 10-degree angle. And just based on how I have the horn set on, that's 10, and this is about 170. And that goes into place. And we might even be able to mess with the speed on that. I think depending on the settings, we might be able to get it to move even faster. But that's not bad. That shutters it pretty quickly. So let's look at that just for fun. Let's open up a camera app on here on this laptop and take a look at that. So I'll plug into a USB and arrange my wires here. One of the handy things I'm using for this is we have some little spade lug connectors for these arcade buttons that just slide on, and then they have a little JST connector on the other end. So that makes it easy to do the wiring there. You can also use alligator clips at first. Nice to have something pretty solid in the end. Okay, so there we go. I will. I usually test these things with Photo Booth on a Mac, just because it's a quick, easy way to get a webcam view. And there's the ceiling. Okay, good. It's using the right camera. And let's get that right about there, like so. How's that for weird views? Yeah, that's going to want to tip. That's okay. And so now let's, again, just for quick and dirty prototyping sake, gaffer's tape works great. So I'm just going to tape that servo on top of my webcam. Let me reset that. Okay, there we go. So there I am. All of a sudden, there's a disturbance in the room. I'm being attacked by Lars. Uh-oh, hit the panic button, and off we go. So you can see there, now we're going to see the back side of whatever's there. So for this shutter to work well, what we want to do is make it black. So I'm just going to double up on the gaffer's tape. And so I'm just sandwiching the servo there. Let's zoom in a bit. And you could get much fancier with this, of course, if you made this sort of tubular shape a bit so that it wraps around and really blocks light well. So what I'll do is, I don't want this to interfere with the arm. I don't want it to hit anything. But there you can see now we've got pretty good, let's see if that still will get, yeah, so that gets out of the way, fine. We're not seeing any evidence of our shutter. But then when I hit my button here, whoop, and gone. So now if you check out what happens if I use something like Zoom or Whereby. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to open up Whereby. Let's see if that works. Okay. Cam and mic are not active. Okay. So let's see. Is it asking for permission? It might ask for. Yeah, okay. Hold on one second. We have to allow. I haven't used that in this browser before. Okay, so we'll join the meeting. And reset this. Okay, so now what you should see is down here at the bottom, I have the cam and I have the mic. So I can turn those on and off by clicking them. And if you watch those, when I hit the button now, not only is it going to throw my physical shutter, but it's also going to send keyboard shortcuts to the program. So now you'll see those went to cam mic, to the muted position. And then I'll reset my little itsy bitsy and I'll manually turn cam and mic back on. And of course, this will work without the servo entirely in this mode. So this is sort of your simplest version. Let's ignore the servo. This will still work as a panic button just because it turns those on and off for you. Now, the way I have it working right now, it will probably toggle those, right? So I need a little extra code to say don't do that because I don't want I don't want to like accidentally be panicking because I'm being attacked by this maniac, and everyone's like, why? No, no. The servo I don't have toggling, but the keys here, since they're toggles, these are, I think, what V for video and M for mic. Zoom has something a little more elaborate. It's like Control-Shift-A for audio and Control-Shift-V for video. So I have those coded into there too. So what we'll do, let's take a look now at the code. So I'm unplugging. I'm going to head over to my workstation now. I'll take this little bundle over there. And oh, someone asked a question about an iris. Yeah, if you wanted to build a nice 3D printed iris, that would be very cool. Let's open up the Discord chat here for a second. Yeah, iris would be really cool. Yeah, the old iSight cameras had a great shot. I think I still have one of those somewhere. I should dig that out and see if it's usable to swipe that ring mechanism. Yeah, you could probably use also, if you have an old lens from a SLR camera that's junked for whatever reason. I've opened one before, and you can rescue a nice mechanical iris shutter from those. So it would be possible to turn that with a motor of some kind or a belt. Okay, so let's look at the code here. So I'm going to plug this in. And let's always remember the eternal paradox of code that types in key commands for you is that you will always end up goofing up your code somehow trying to show it and use it as you test. Okay, so let's go. I'll put a little me over there, and I will very dangerously move that. Oh, good, that worked. So let's close this. And I'll load up that code. We'll also make it bigger so you can see it better. Okay, so here is our code. And I'm going to go through some of this in more detail than others. So we have a bunch of libraries we install at the beginning or import that make it easy to work with things like the different pins on the board, being able to read the button with digital I/O, also write to the LED that's on board so we can see the state. Pulse I/O is used for sending the servo pulse width modulation, which is a little sort of on-off square wave. HID USB that allows us to then go ahead and type using these HID keyboard and consumer control commands. I have consumer control in there because I'm also muting. You don't want to hear the computer yelling at you maybe when this happens. That's a choice. So. And then Adafruit motor allows us to use the servo object very easily. So here I'm setting up the motor as a servo that's plugged into pin A2 on the board. And these are fairly standard pulse width modulation duty cycle and frequency that are used. And you can mess with those depending on the servo you have. Some work better with different settings. We have a guide on servos in CircuitPython that'll help you out. I create the servo object, and I set that initially to a 10-degree angle, which was just based on how I plonked my servo horn onto the motor. Then you can see here I've got a key pin. That's the pin I'm reading for my button, and it's pin A1. It's set as an input pin with a pull-up resistor. And then I have the LED set to turn on pin D13, depending on what we're doing. Then we're setting up our keyboard and keyboard layout, as well as consumer control. And we're waiting for button presses. That gets printed, so if we reload this, I'm going to press Control-D down here. Let's reopen the serial port. Hello? Are you there? Are you alive? I wonder if I have a serial conflict. Oh, no, there it goes. Okay, so let's reload the code. There it goes. It says waiting for button presses. Now we check in the main loop of the program, we check to see if the button gets pressed. When it does get pressed, all these things happen. So we'll print the pin is grounded. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press, I'll test it, but I'm going to put my cursor after a comment line here. Because what you'll see is when I press the button, it types some things. So it typed an M and it typed a V, and that's what I was using inside of the whereby. But you'll actually notice if we pull up a browser, let's bring up Firefox here. I'm going to go to keyboard tester. I don't know if this works in Firefox. I think it does. So I'm going to launch the tester. Oh, can we launch it in the window? We can't. Hold on. I'm going to share this. I'm going to make a new item here for that. One moment. Oops. It made a pop-up window, which I didn't want. Let's grab video capture. No, screen capture. There we go. New screen capture. Waiting. Crash all. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's trying. Welcome to the black hole. Window, configure. You can see why this is a good thing to set up in advance. But I like to improvise. Let's see, keyboard tester, there we are. Hey, that didn't pick the one I wanted at all. Try that again. Oh, it refuses to show that one. Oh well, sorry about that. Okay, so you can't see this, but the reason I was going to show that is when I'm testing out something like command keys, so I have it pressing Command-Shift-V or Command-Shift-A, I think, right here. Those won't really show up as key presses inside of here, so we need to look at something that shows the raw output. So that's why I wanted to use a keyboard tester. I wonder if I can, let me just try one more thing. Let me see if I can do a keyboard tester that doesn't go into a pop-up. Oh, how about this one, keyboard checker? All right, I'm stubborn, so I'm going to try this. See if I can get that to work. Yeah, okay, that should work. So keyboard checker here. So you can see it pressed all those things, and it leaves them lit up, so we can tell that Command-Shift-A, V, M, and Command-Shift-V, those all got pressed. Since I'm sending them all at once, this doesn't differentiate when. I'm not waiting. I don't have timing between them, which is fine. It works. But that's a good way to use just an online checker to see what's being pressed on your keyboard. Okay, so that is what happens when the key gets pressed. We do keyboard send keycode M, keycode V, keycode GUI, Shift, and A. That's under this keyboard press command. Then we release all. That's what lets those off, those three off. And then we do the same with the V. So that's what would turn zoom, that would toggle the zoom stuff. Again, the problem is it toggles things. So if your video was off, it's going to get turned on and vice versa. Same with audio, and they can be out of phase with each other. Then here we have the servo being set to the angle of 170 degrees, and then I'm also turning off the LED here. I can't remember. Oh, that just gets turned on when we first press. So that is how we're controlling that in code. That's all CircuitPython. So now what I thought I would do is kind of clean up this build just a little bit. We probably won't finish it all today, but I'll show you. To clean this up, I will do a little button box. So I wanted to show you that part. And then mounting of the servo, like I said, you could get away with Velcro, hot glue, tape, Legos, and 3D printed parts. There's a lot of ways that you can do that depending on the camera. Those Logitech C920s are nice because they have a flat surface on the top, so they're easy to mount something to. But let's just take a look at how I would start with the button box on this. So I'm going to head over to the bench again and get this at least started towards being a usable thing. This is kind of a necessity when you're using these big arcade buttons, because they don't really want to just set there on their own, and you don't want to. That's where this connection is here. So what I would recommend, if you can, if you're doing a lot of stuff with this type of a project, either build it out of cardboard, and it's easy to just take this, we'll pull this apart actually, we kind of have to. Let me remember how these guys come out. Like that. Oh, there you go, nice and easy, this just pops out. Then we have a nut on here, a little plastic nut. So you want to trace that hole there and cut that out. And there's also a couple little keyed posts here that prevent it from rotating. So if you want to be fancy, you can mark those as well. You can either measure that, or you can just take a piece of paper and cut out your hole. Let's do this with a long marker. How about? Okay, so we'll cut out a little hole like that. Oh, sorry, I was a little zoomed in. I hope you could see any of what I was just doing. And I'll grab a cutting mat, which turns my autofocus crazy, I know, so I'll try to hide it there. Yeah, that's terrible, but that's okay. Okay, and that should fit pretty well right over that. Now I cut a little close so I can try to. My knife here is not very sharp. So now we can just kind of poke through to find those holes, which is quick and dirty. I think one of them has like a little point on it. The other one is kind of dull, so we can just flip around and match that one and then poke the other one. If there were more than two, I wouldn't do it that way. And if you want, you can also mark the diameter here, so you now have a template that'll show you what kind of box you can put that in. And now what I'll do is I think I'll use this one. So I just have these little plastic boxes, and first of all, the depth. These things are actually deceptively deep. So you have to find something that'll accommodate, let's put this back in for a second, this full depth here. That's not going to make it, actually. Darn. Okay, so we'll, do I want to show a different box, or do we want to pretend like that one had fit? Let's, I guess we can do it. That's going to stink. Darn it. My bad. I thought that was going to work. But yeah, these things are always deeper than I thought. Let's see. If I can, I guess I'll do a cardboard one. Not as fun, but yeah, let's do a cardboard box version of this. Let's dig around. How about we'll use a giant Ada box for this. You'll want to find something a little more appropriately sized. But just to follow through with this part of the build. So here's a giant box for your emergency button. So you'll just decide where do you want the thing, and then mark out these holes to cut and drill. Okay. And then we can use a, again, you can use a knife. That'll work pretty well. Where did I put that cap? There he is. I do like using a whole Forstner bit if it's not cardboard, this is probably not the best thing to... Cardboard will dull your blades, so it's not the greatest thing to put my bit through, but we'll do it anyway. And so you just want to find the center point of that, which I should probably be a little... If you're doing this in wood, you want to be pretty careful about this, so I would take a ruler and just connect the dots of your two holes here. Ideally, you'd also find center that way, but I'm gonna just wing it, I'm so sorry to say. Let's go like about this. This one is a little big. So finding one that's exactly arcade hole size would be good. I've never gone out and got one. And then these holes, again, you'd drill those if this were wood or plastic, but I'm just gonna use a screwdriver to poke them out. And now, take your button, pop this out, and voila. And now this is nice because it's not gonna spin on you. It makes it easier to tighten because it's got those two little keyed pegs there. And I'll open up this box and screw in the guts. Like this. And since my hole there is, or my saw is pretty big, you kind of need to be careful that you don't just screw this right back through the hole. It's just a little too large, that bit I'm using. And now we can go ahead and place the button back in like this. And now we can run a USB cable to the microcontroller. Oh yeah, I've made too large a hole there using that bit, so now it wants to fall through. Let's try to cram some cardboard back in there and tighten that up. Okay, so our USB cable, run that into that itsy bitsy, and then we got the wiring running back out for our servo motor. Okay, so that is one large emergency button, but now it'll, I'm just gonna power it down since we don't have an external reset button right now. And now we'll be able to shutter our camera and turn on and off the video and audio inside of the software all at once. So I hope that at least gets you some ideas going for ways to build this kind of a fun and hopefully useful project. I know as everyone's on video chats all the time, and we're looking to the upcoming school year as well, being pretty much remote, projects like this will be pretty helpful, and I found it really easy to build that just in a short amount of time this morning, really, inside of CircuitPython using an itsy bitsy M0. Again, thanks to ToddBot for the idea for the project. Oh no, did my audio get out of sync? Oh, that's too bad. No, probably me adding those windows did it. That was a bad idea. All right, well, before I subject you to any more audio desync, I will end it there. So thank you again for joining me for Adafruit Industries. I'm John Park, and this has been John Park's Workshop, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.